Hey everyone, welcome back to LCA How It Works, where we dive deep into your favorite technology. I'm Nick Baldwin, co-founder of LabCoatAgents. I'm here with Gus from PowerISA, and today we're going to talk about the cold calling ISA. I know, calling expireds, calling for sale by owners, calling people you don't know. It is one of the most dreaded lead generation activities for agents, but guess what? You don't even have to do it when you can hire an ISA to do it. So, Gus, thanks for being back with us.
Awesome. Great to be here, Nick.
So let's talk about the cold calling ISA. How do you get these people to make these dreaded phone calls on behalf of an agent?
Okay, so great. That's awesome. Glad you asked that. So one of the problems that we solve, for real estate agents that are doing these kinds of calls, that have made peace with the fact that prospecting can be an unbelievably high leverage way to build their business. When they kind of accept that and make those calls, the number one issue they encounter is there's only so many hours in the day. Okay. There's only so many calls they can make. And they've been through this usually when they come to us. They make their calls, they get busy, they stop making their calls, and they're back to square one within 60 to 90 days, right? They're like, oh crap, I got no pipeline of Circle or Expired or FSBO, whatever it is. Because as soon as they could, they stopped making the calls, right? Because it's not an easy call to make. I definitely have empathy for that. So they come to us and they say, Gus, I know what prospecting is about. I get it. I understand it, right? It's a part of my business and a growing part of your business probably in this market. But I don't have enough time to make these calls. I have enough time to follow up with motivated leads and attend appointments, but I don't have time to make every single call I need to make to scale up what I'm trying to do, right? I can do it for an hour a day, right? Consistently, maybe more, but I can't do more than that if I actually want to take care of these clients. Help me out. So that's where we come in. And we recruit people, the top 10% of the whole call center industry in Mexico and Latin America, that have done the job in the past. They have prospecting in their background. They've done cold calling for similar industries: solar, collections, building, insurance.
Well, once you've done collections, you can do anything.
That is a truck. When guys from collections go, this is the easiest job in the world. Right. They can do that every single day. If you think the expires don't want to hear your call, you haven't been on some of these collection calls. But yeah, absolutely. So we're looking for people that think this is a great opportunity. We can get them, recruit them, help you train them, and they're up and running, helping you make these calls. And that is a big, big, big way you can add leverage to your business.
Awesome. I love it. So when the ISA is making these calls, we all know that there definitely has to be a script. Like they've got to understand what to say to an expired or a FSBO to convert them. So are you guys coaching these ISAs on what to say and how to say it?
So we have to coach. It's more than that, actually, Nick. It's more than that. We have to coach the agent and the ISA, both people. We have to coach both of them usually, right? Because even though the agent has experience making calls and converting these, they might not have experience doing it with an ISA, like doing that combo, right? And making sure. And also another thing that happens, you start doing other lead sources you didn't do before. ISA can help you make those calls because a lot of times agents don't have the time to do circle prospecting or calling absentee owners, for example. They've only focused on the lowest hanging fruit, which are expired and FSBOs. And that's fine. That's great because those are the highest converting kind of leads. But they completely ignore whole categories, downsizer leads, high equity kinds of leads. In some markets, notice of default, distress sellers, whatever it is, They haven't even tried it. So they have their ISA try it. They're getting contacts. They're getting qualified sellers. Now the agent needs to learn how to convert those different kinds of leads. So it's both. We need to coach the ISA and train them on doing the first level script, the initial script, right? Getting that attention. The analogy I like to use is the ISA shakes the tree, right? Mm-hmm. They shake the tree and they find FSBOs that are willing to take your call, expired listings that are willing to talk to you and see what you're all about. Okay, Nick sounds awesome. Let's see what he has to say. I'll take that call with Nick. And they're handing them off to you. The same thing when they're doing circle dialing, just listed, just sold, preferably the just sold. That's the money script, just sold. Absentee owners, downsizers, and the like. The ISA is trying to cast a wide net, and they're trying to find people that will be selling, right? that will be selling. And the further down you go on that list of expired FSBO is now business. Older expired, they convert differently. Absentee owners, and you get all the way down to circle prospecting, which converts at the lowest rate, but you have the largest amount of numbers for that, right?
Right.
Essentially unlimited numbers in most areas. We can just call the phone book for people, letting them know the good news. This home just sold in the neighborhood, and you had either more buyers, you've got more interest for that area, you can have more people that want to buy it, they just don't have a listing at that moment, right? So that's a great script to use. All those folks, you want to get them into the pipeline, every single person. The goal, and even in the toughest markets, you can do this, 1 to 2 qualified sellers every single day. And that can be done in San Diego, California, Seattle, Washington, and even better in some markets. This is not that well known, Nick. This is how it works. Okay, this is LCA how it works. This is how it really works. The less dense the area is, smaller market, the higher the contact rate and the conversion rate for these kinds of campaigns. It's just reality, folks, right?
Yeah.
You always find it's interesting. Why is it that the Oklahoma and Kansas agents kill it with these campaigns? It get more people on the phone easier than in San Diego and Seattle. They just can't. But it can even get 1 qualified seller lead per day, even in a San Diego, even in a Seattle. You just got to pick up, someone has to pick up the phone and make the call. They're accumulating these qualified sellers. So the agent, Nick, think about this. Instead of making 1,000 calls or 500 calls that day, you sit down and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 qualified sellers to talk to and introduce yourself, qualify, and see where they're at in the process, right? Very different skill set. I will say this though, Nick, you have to have made the calls though, right? You can't give Gus your credit card and skip over that process of never having made calls in circle prospecting, expired or FSBO, and expect to just be successful. You need help with that. You need that experience, because when you add the ISA, you move up. You level up in that value chain. You're making more valuable calls, but you have to have felt the pain of calling from the very beginning and converting some of these leads, because that's really going to make sure you're successful.
So when an agent is given a qualified seller, a homeowner from an expired call or a FSBO call, and the ISA qualifies them, what does the agent receive? And how does the agent understand to call this person and to, continuously follow up? Like, what is the information they're given from the ISA to make the phone call easier?
Yeah, great. Great question. The handoff, right? It's the ISA to agent handoff. In its best sense, it is a tag on your CRM. Boom. You tag a lead as a qualified seller. And in those notes, in addition to obviously name, email, phone number, and address for the property, you've got the notes on that conversation, right? How did the conversation go? What was the level of interest? Did they mention what their time frame was? What's their motivation to potentially sell? Why are they even asking that question? Why are you even talking to them, right? What's the point of that? So the initial part of it is there, what the notes from that conversation. And then as an agent, you call in to introduce yourself. That's the goal. The goal is not setting an appointment. Remember, the goal is to introduce yourself and tell them how you can add some value to them. That's the goal of that call. Because if you're effective at that, Nick, the appointment is the byproduct of them thinking you're valuable. That's it. You're not going in there to kill and fight them to get that appointment. You show them some value, teach them something they don't know about selling their home, and the appointment is the like obvious next step to that conversation. So the goal is introduce yourself, provide some value, and requalify them. Where are they at? Once they talk to you, the conversation can go way better, and you get more information. And you might get a more accurate assessment of where they are in that life cycle, right? And a lot of these leads are going to be a few months out, and that's fine. But whoever introduces them themselves first gets a heads up on everybody else that's trying to convert those leads those next few months.
I think it's important to understand that the ISA is not like having the ISA as an agent. Having the ISA is not necessarily like the easy button, right?
Correct.
Like it definitely is leverage, but as the agent, you still have to know what to say, when to say it, and how to say it when you call and follow up with the handoff. Right?
Exactly.
You still have to have that experience.
You do. Oh, I will, qualify that if you want to be successul. I'll say that, right?
Correct.
You can do anything you want, but if you don't have an ISA in your team and have success with that, you got to know what to do with these leads. You got to know what that, and that's where we also coach the agents, right? Because if they know that for expireds, for example, they might know it for expireds. What about FSBO? What about absentee? What about downsizers? Right? What about, notice of default, high equity? What about those, right? Because those are other lists you can be calling, because you never want to run out of numbers. There's no excuse. There's always more lists you can call in most areas, where you can just call through every single type of list and make sure you're getting these opportunities and you know what to do with them. There's 3 problems you got to solve, Nick. 3 problems. Number 1, even getting in contact with this lead, whether it's an absentee, FSBO, or something. Problem number 1, ISA helps solve that. Problem number 1. Problem number 2, when the ISA hands it off to you, what are you going to say to them on the phone, right?
Right.
What are you going to say? What's your pitch? What's your value prop? How do you show value to these potential sellers, motivated sellers, that you're the person to talk to? And number 3, it's at the kitchen table at the property, right? So you gotta be able to make it happen at the listing presentation, or we sometimes call it the property preview, listing presentation, listing opportunity, whatever it is, right? You gotta know how to impress when you're in front of them, right? ISA solves problem number 1, right? It's only going to make more apparent whether you need to solve problem number 2 or 3 at all, right? Because you want to be in a situation where, hey, I'm not converting enough of these appointments. Great. Talk to our coach, right? Let's let them work you through. What are you saying? How's it going? Because, Nick, most agents don't have a listing presentation problem.
Right.
They're not even talking to enough owners to get
They
in
just
front
have
of
a
them
conversion problem
to present, right? They're not even getting enough at bats to get anywhere near where they need to be on these prospecting calls. Talk to sellers first, get in front of them first, then we'll work on the listing presentation.
Love it. Well, this has been very informative. If anyone out there is interested in, diving, well, you have to listen. You have to have made the call. You don't have to have made the calls. You should have made the calls in the past. The Gus isn't going to take your credit card if you have. Listen, this is not an easy button. This is leverage.
Correct.
It's good to have had the experience with cold calling, so you can now leverage someone to make those calls for you, because you still have to make the follow-up call. You still have to say the right things to get you in the door. This person has only agreed to speak to you. Now you have to get them to allow you in their home. So it's not the easy button. It's just leverage, but definitely PowerISA makes it easier for you to get these appointments, so you can be out there in front of people at the kitchen table like we talked about. So thank you for joining us on LCA How It Works. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, folks.